Pop, pop, pop. Welcome to the ToppeePop Popcast, where I, ToppeePop, will be providing you with 1 hour of audio entertainment. Yes, you and me, we're just going to be talking to each other. Well, actually, not really. It's going to be more of me just talking to a wall. But you know, that's the appeal of this, I guess, right? So hello, welcome to my popcast, or I guess more of a pun, or play on word, sorry. A play on word on the word ToppeePop and podcast. So yes, there's going to be a new YouTube series on my channel, because my YouTube channel is dead and I kind of want to upload videos to show that I'm not dead. It might actually, this podcast thing might actually be on a different YouTube video, but I'm not really, I mean YouTube channel, but I'm not really sure if I want to make it into a different YouTube channel. I want to put it on, like for now, we're just going to mainly put it on ToppeePop, but maybe in the future we'll move it on to a different channel, because I think it'd be pretty good to do that. So yes, this is a podcast. So what is a podcast? I don't even know what a podcast is. It's basically, I think it's just basically me like people talking to a mic, and then people just listen to it. You know, that's pretty much it. I don't really know how to explain a podcast, honestly. But yes, so I've decided to do. Let's actually talk about a bit of what I'm thinking about for this podcast, and talk about what like my schedule is and all that kind of stuff. We'll just talk about in general, like introduce the podcast, right? So actually, also I'm going to be calling the podcast the Popcast, because the Popcast sounds much more interesting and unique. But yes, the Popcast. So first of all, let's start off with why I wanted to begin the Popcast. Well, I've always actually, this is one of my New Year resolutions, which we'll talk about later on. And yes, oh, by the way, Happy New Year, guys. Yes, Happy New Year. Yay. It's been not really that interesting, but I'm looking forward to this year. This year is going to be a crazy year. Oh, maybe not crazy, but it's going to be a cool year. Unfortunately, there were some things that happened in other places. I'm not going to mention it now, but yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. I'm also gonna get my phone away. If you heard that ring ring, I'm just gonna throw my phone away. Whoop. But anyways, so yeah, it's one of my New Year resolutions. That's starting a podcast. I've actually always wanted to do a podcast. It's one of my to-do lists. Like I have like a big to-do list of like what I want to do, and this podcast is something I wanted to always do. Now the thing is, I didn't want to do this podcast by myself. I wanted to have someone else with me, because I think it's kind of awkward to talk to someone else, to talk to like just a wall by yourself, and just, I don't know. I haven't really listened to any podcasts or like any podcasts with only one person, right? I've never really listened to one. Every time I've listened to a podcast, it's always at least 3 or 4, right? Even 2, but yeah, I guess really it's just, I'm just trying it out myself, so we'll see how it goes. I don't really know how well this podcast is gonna do. I don't really care too much. I just want to talk and talk and talk and talk. Let viewers get to know me better and have some fun, honestly. Like I want to force myself to do this sort of maybe fortnightly. I don't think I'm gonna do this weekly, because I probably won't have time to record weekly a podcast. I'll try, but I think it's gonna be more fortnightly. But I want to at least keep my YouTube channel a bit like, oh, I'm still alive, guys. I do stream, by the way, but I don't stream on YouTube, so it's very hard to like. So basically, everyone thinks I'm dead on YouTube because I haven't uploaded a video in like 4 months. And we'll talk about what kind of videos that I want to upload later on this year. But basically, it feels like my channel is dead, and I kind of want to not have that. So yeah, this podcast is just kind of there to sort of like, hey, I'm actually a bit alive, and if you want to get to know me better, here's the podcast. I don't really know if I'm that interesting to listen to. Like honestly, like I've always had a bit of I always felt self-conscious about my streaming, because I don't think I'm a good streamer. I'm really bad at talking live. Does that make sense? Usually with all my videos, I script the videos, and those actually tend to be better, like because I can, write it all down, script it, like, and basically say what I scripted, right? Sometimes I do freestyle it, but most of the time I do script my videos, or at least for the last few videos. So it really feels, so I've always had that sort of low self-esteem about just in general, talking live. Talking live is something that I think I struggle at, because especially when I don't really have that interesting of a life, or at least I think so, I don't know. And I don't really have the best comedy. Like, I think I can be funny, but usually my jokes are very like irony jokes, or like sort of sarcastic jokes, even dark humor, right? So I don't think that really translates very well through streaming at all. But we'll see how it goes. Australia is a very sarcastic country. I'll just say that. That's probably where all my sarcasm comes from. But a lot of things, yeah, I don't know. This is why I started this podcast, just to really like maybe help me, I guess. It's like a help, an experience for me. Like, I need to start learning how to talk without, any script. Because first of all, very helpful for me in the future, where I talk to because I'm gonna be forced to talk to other people outside, at work, because I'm gonna be working soon, or like I'm gonna be graduating uni this year. So I will be at the workforce next year probably. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit one of the items on my table. We're gonna, also I'm gonna try to not talk away from the mic, because I realized that the audio is not like picking it up as well. But yes, I want to get to talk. Like, I'm doing this podcast for a few reasons. One of the reasons is basically keeping my channel active. The other reason is, to practice my speaking, right? I realized I wasn't, like, I've met a few of my friends before, in the last month, because I've finished uni and we're on holidays, and I wanted to meet up with my good friends that I haven't met up in a long time. And I've realized my English sort of that's basically the best way I can explain it. My English really just whoop. It definitely got worse, and I believe that's because I never really interact with people. I kind of just stay at home, study, work, study, and then like go to work. I mean, going to work does have me talking, so that's pretty much the only practice I get. But the problem here is, like, I always say the exact same thing, especially when you're doing retail work. It's kind of just like, how are you, right? It's the NPC talk, right? How are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good, thanks. That's pretty much it. It's like, oh, do you want a bag? Or do you want to, oh, that would be $7.68 or something like that, right? It's very basic English. There's not really much I have to say. And I guess, my other jobs do also allow me to talk a bit more, but in general, I think my English is just diminished. So I'm trying to get back at it. So this is one of the reasons why, and also like why I'm starting a podcast, but also like it really helps with just me it will probably help me in the future, because then it lets me calm down, speak more, fluently. Even though English is my only language, I still don't think I'm very fluent in English for some reason. I always had I had a speaking problem when I was much younger. I actually only started learning how to speak properly at like 6 years old, which is quite late. But yeah, so also there's a lot of things I'm trying to fix. So right now I'm realizing I'm doing these like, but yeah, oh yes, yeah, like those filler words, right? I'm trying to, and the filler noises, filler words, I'm trying to stop it. So you're gonna hopefully, this journey, like maybe from now until the next 50 episodes, you're gonna see sort of the differences between how I talk, right? You'll see how the first episode I'm like, ooh, yes, oh, but yeah, so yeah. And then the 50th episode, I'll be talking like the best spokesman, I don't really know what to say, that ever existed. Yes, yeah. I'll be the best podcast that ever existed, guys. No, not really. I don't think I'm gonna even be anywhere close, but yes. See, I just did a filler word right there. But oh my god, I nearly did it again. But yeah. Okay, guys, that's really funny. But anyways, that is another reason why I want to start a podcast. But the final reason that I want to start this podcast is mainly to get to know other people better. So I decided to do, as you can see, I'm by myself, right? Being by myself was a decision I had to make because I actually was going to start this podcast with someone else. I was going to start it with someone else. There was actually a few people that I wanted to start with. But, you know, time scheduling, people get busy and things like that. I mean, to be fair, like we're all busy, but so it's really hard to schedule a specific time that we can all be free at, unless you're like really, really close with them, or unless you're making YouTube as like, or unless you're making like a job in the actual entertainment thing, right? But most of them actually have real jobs because we're all indies, right? We're all very small streamers, all very small YouTube creators, right? All my friends and I. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess like it's really hard to schedule, especially when a lot of my friends are from a different time zone. So it really, I really struggle with sort of starting a podcast with anyone in general. So I decided that I'm going to start it myself so we don't have to deal with any time scheduling conflicts. And when, you know, and then yeah, I'll try to carry it myself and then we'll invite other people. So later on, so basically the podcast, I actually do want to invite people into the podcast, into the popcast. I'm forgetting that I'm calling it the popcast. Slap me every time I say podcast instead of popcast, please. Actually, don't slap me. That sounds like a masochist thing. But anyways, I want to actually talk to more people. So there's a lot of people that I've made friends with, but I haven't actually gotten the chance to talk to. Like a lot of VTubers, a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTube video creators, and just also in general, my in real life friends as well. I want to invite these people onto my podcast because I think it would be, first of all, it's more interesting to listen to two people talk, right? Instead of one person talk to himself and trying to think of ideas and like what he's gonna say for the next few seconds. But yes, I want to get all of my friends, you know, on this podcast. I want to get basically anyone that I've interacted with but I haven't like fully talked to on a voice call or anything. I want to get everyone in. So if you guys are listening and you guys are interested in being part of the podcast, just hit me a DM or I will, just hit me a DM and I'll probably prioritize you guys. Otherwise than that, I'll just be forcing everyone else to come to my stream. I'm not streaming to my podcast. Oh, by the way, I'm not streaming this podcast, but maybe maybe some special episodes I will stream the podcast. So we'll see how that goes. So there's a lot of ideas that I have. I also don't want to just have me speaking I don't want this podcast for me to just have me speaking. I want to have like audio games that I can do as well. That, you know, would be exciting for the viewers to interact, right? Or the listeners, I guess. You aren't really viewers in this case, you're listeners. I'm not really planning on putting any visual effects or like visual anything on this video, so it's mostly going to be audio, so you really don't need to watch the video. There's not going to be anything except maybe like a animated background with my, you know, my icon with the, you know, those audio wave things. I haven't really thought about how I'm going to edit this, but that's pretty much what I'm thinking right now. Like I'm pretty much thinking sort of like my icon in the middle and then just audio waves and then my normal typical background for streaming. Also, actually, before I even continue or anything, I wanted to thank two people for, so first of all, I want to thank Roxas for my logo and animation and the transition animation and all that. Like all the logo, the transition animation, the logo animation, right? I really like it a lot. She's a good friend of mine and I will link her like her details in the in the description below. I believe she's like closed her slots for commissions, but yeah, she probably will start it later on. So I believe, you know, she's a really good person. She's a really fun person to interact with. You know, very easy to work with. Honestly, it's probably easier because we've been friends for a while, so that's why it's just like I can just ask and then she'd be able to do it, something that I already know, that I want, right? She doesn't really have, like, I don't really have to like explain what exactly I want because she pretty much knows me, so really fun. But yeah, I really like the animation there. Yeah, hopefully that starts the beginning because I actually don't know how I'm gonna edit that, but I'm pretty sure I'm putting that at the very beginning. And also thank you to Sean's Secret. I'm gonna be linking their video on, not the video, but their link tree in the description again. They made the background. The background is a very cheery background. I don't know if it's gonna work very well with the podcast. We'll see how it goes. It definitely sets the tune for my podcast, being like, it's a very exciting poppy podcast where I'm not going to talk about any drama. And honestly, I might not ever talk about drama because I'm not really a dramatic person. Don't really like drama that much. That's why I don't really look at Twitter that much. I mean, X, the freaking third last letter of the alphabet or something like that, XYZ. Yeah. Or I do say Z, not Z, but you know, I do like the letter Z as well. I like the sound Z. But anyway, let's get back on track, right? So yeah, they made the background music. I really like it. It's so cute. It's basically the vibes that I wanted, you know, the lollipop poppy vibes. I had, you know, it's kind of something you would hear in a visual novel as well. Really nice. I really like it. So shout out to those two, Roxas and Sean's Secret. Description, links in the description. Yeah. So yes. Oh, also a very funny thing is this is my third time recording this podcast, this first episode of the podcast. So I actually recorded 2 times before this, and the first time my audio just kind of went echoey for some reason. I don't know why, but my mic sometimes just gets echoey. I don't really understand why. And I don't realize this until I like listen back to the audio again, right? Like the audio like just becomes echoey. It's like there's a reverb effect, right? Even though my mic doesn't have any reverb effects. It's a Blue Yeti. I don't know what model it is. I just know it's a Blue Yeti. It's not the very expensive one, but it's not it's like the $150 one AUD or something like that. I don't remember how much I paid for this, or $180 AUD. I don't remember. But yeah, it's the Blue Yeti. It's not the snowball. It's not the Blue Yeti snowball thing. It's actually like a proper mic, right? It has a pop filter and everything. That I don't really know if it's actually helping. Is it really helping with the pop? But that's like, I don't know. I thought it was a good mic to get, and it does make my audio crispier. But the problem is, it just sometimes gets echoey. The only way I have to fix it is basically unplug the connection to the mic and then plug it back in again, and then it will just reset, like, I don't know, something, and makes the audio actually not echoey anymore. So I don't really understand. It just happens randomly sometimes. I don't understand why. It happened for streaming. When I was streaming, it happened a few times, and it happens a lot when I do Audacity recordings. So I've had to redo a lot of recordings because of this. So now I'm very careful. I have to like test my audio every time. I'm also listening to my audio right now. So I'm listening to my voice, which is kind of weird, but it's not really any delay at all. It's actually like pretty much instant. So it's not that awkward. But it does hurt my ears every time I do those weird, like loud noises. So I'm going to try not to do that. I want to make this a very calming, you know, audio thing. Yes, audio podcast. Yes, English, very good. So what else was I talking about, right? Oh yeah, so the first time I recorded this was I had the audio problem. The second time I recorded this was actually before I even commissioned the music, the background music and the logo animation and everything, because I didn't actually think I was going to do anything like that, but I was like, you know what, I gotta make something special about it, right? I need a thumbnail for this as well. So I need like some sort of logo as well. So I decided to, you know, just basically commission people. And I realized that, oh, you know what? I just want to, it's going to take, because I thought this podcast was going to start like beginning of December, but instead it's starting at January, beginning of January. It's just because like I was waiting for all the commissions to finalize their stuff, and yeah, I really like what I got, you know, and I guess now I can actually probably start the podcast. So, and because it's like for beginning of January, I was like, oh, you know what? Whatever I talked about back then, and those last 2 recordings, I'm gonna just remove that completely, and we'll talk about New Year resolutions, because New Year resolutions is pretty much the thing you talk about when it's the new year, right? So yeah, this is actually my 3rd time recording this podcast episode, the first episode of the podcast. I also want to make sure that the podcast is actually entertaining to listen to. I don't know, hopefully I'm entertaining to listen to. Like, give some feedback in the comments below, you know, give some criticism, don't crap on me. just like, you know, give me suggestions in a very nice way, please. I can take like criticism, but like, man, some people are just mean, man. But yes, just give some, you know, feedback how I can improve this, and I'll try to improve it. And then maybe later on, you know I said I won't have any visual stuff on my podcast, but later on, we'll see how it goes. Like, because I do have a VTuber avatar, which I'll talk about later on. But yeah, I'm just trying to think, like right now, I just want this podcast to be very easy to record and really easy to edit. Like, I don't really have to do too much, right? And so I can actually upload this like weekly or fortnightly. I'm gonna try to go for the weekly. We're gonna set the bar very high, but I doubt I'll be able to do weekly. It'll probably be fortnightly. I was gonna think about doing monthly, but I decided not. I want to do this like more consistently, and you know, there's gonna be a lot of interesting stories to talk about. I've been trying, because I'm starting this podcast, my mindset has definitely changed. My mindset's become more like, how do I explain it? My mindset's become more like, oh yes, I need to do this now because I need to put this in the podcast. I'm going to talk about it in the podcast, so I'm going to do this, right? So anything, I'm more curious now, so I want to try new things because I have a podcast, so I need to like talk about things. So I need to do more things, right? So that's pretty much my mindset right now when it comes to doing new things, even things that I hate. So we'll see how it goes. We'll try to get as much, you know, fun experience as possible. I'm meeting up with my more friends, so I'm gonna see if I can organize something fun with these guys as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all I really want to talk about the podcast. Like, at least for the, like, to introduce the podcast, right? This is pretty much all I really want to talk about. Yeah, so next episode, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna have a guest, but we're definitely gonna try to get a guest on as soon as possible, right? I have a few people that I think would be a really good choice to have as a guest. So we'll see how that goes. I think there's actually quite a lot of people that I would do really well with just the podcast with them as well. Like, there's quite a few people, but because I started this podcast by myself for the first episode, I don't know if it's weird to just randomly introduce, like, let's say like someone comes by like after like 3 or 4 episodes, and they were like, you know what, ToppeePop, I want to actually be your co-star in this podcast, right? And it's weird, like, I don't know, is it weird for me to like be like, oh yeah, sure, and then now they suddenly start being part of the cast and they're always there every podcast, right? I don't know, is it weird because like I started this podcast by myself, and then like maybe let's say the 6th episode, we realized I have good synergy with one person, right? And then they decided, I want to be part of the podcast for, you know, the rest of the podcast basically. So it starts off with one person, and now there's 2 people. I don't know if that's kind of a weird thing to do. I don't really know. Let me know in the comments below. I don't even know if you guys are even gonna comment. It doesn't really matter, honestly. I'll think about it myself. I mean, I do have a Discord server. Oh, actually, before I even like continue, Discord server. I have a Discord server I probably will link it. I'm not sure if I'll link it in the description. You know what? I will link it in the description or the comments below. The Discord server is a server for me. I want to make this more of an active server. I'm kind of doing a bad job because I'm not really good at, talking online. But yes, I want to make this more active, more friendly, right? It's kind of like that, but it's not really active at all. My Discord server is basically for me to notify you guys my streams, my YouTube videos, and my, my little announcements that I want to make, right? There's also a channel for the podcast, so you can basically ask me any questions and I'll answer it, right? So so if you have any questions or even any suggestions, just go on that channel, write it down, I'll read it, right? So join my Discord server if you haven't. I think it'd be, really, yeah, I'll probably just, I'll probably advertise it every time I do the podcast. And yes, so feedback, questions that you want to ask me so I can actually talk in the podcast about it, right? Everything basically, all in that, anything related to the podcast in that channel, just write it down and I will, look at it. So I guess that's pretty much all I want to talk about in terms of the introduction. I think I already said that before, but I decided to talk a bit more about it. I'm kind of like trying to reach the 30-minute mark before I talk about New Year resolutions. But yeah, let me know if you think it'd be good to invite someone and keep them as a co-star, pretty much for the future of the ToppeePop Popcast. Because right now it's just by myself. But I do eventually want to have someone with me so I don't have to talk to myself by myself. Like, I don't have to talk to just myself because it's so stressful. But maybe I'll get used to it, I mean, I am kind of used to it from my YouTube videos that I used to make. I used to make those Let's Play YouTube videos, pretty much inspired by like Markiplier, Chugga Conroy. Pretty much, it was kind of like, I really like making those Let's Play videos. And that's basically sort of trained myself to talk to myself, I guess. But, I've gotten worse because I started not doing that. I started basically doing scripted videos. So now I've gotten worse. But yes, let's talk about New Year resolutions, shall we? We haven't reached the 30-minute mark, but we'll talk about New Year resolutions because there's quite a lot of things to talk about in the New Year resolution. So Happy New Year again, by the way, everyone. Yeah, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, yes, celebrate. Hopefully everyone can celebrate because I know some things happened in other places. I'm not going to mention it, but yes, really hope for the safety for everyone, in the new year. Hopefully everyone's gonna have a good year, hopefully. So, New Year, so everyone always does these New Year resolutions. It's something that I've never really done myself, but everyone always has these New Year resolutions, right, in the new year. They're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and I'm gonna do this. But for me, I've never been a New Year resolutions guy. I've always been someone who always do what he wants to do, right? Like, what I mean by that is like, if I want to do something, I'm gonna do it, right? I'm not gonna like leave it for the next few months and then do it, right? I'm going to start doing it. So this is why resolutions don't really make sense to me, because it's like New Year resolutions, like you're planning for the whole year, right? Sorry, you're planning for the whole year, right? Like what you're gonna do. And for me, I'm more of a presence guy. I'm not really of a future guy. I like to, if I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it, I'm going to do it. So I never really like New Year resolutions because it feels very like, what's the word, wishful? It feels very wishful because I tend to, because if I'm writing something like I want to, like it's kind of similar to like my wish list, right? I already mentioned it in the beginning of the podcast, but I talked about my to-do list or like my wish list, what I kind of want to do. And I've only filled like 3 or 4 of them. So it really like shows that I'm not really, I'm not sure these New Year resolutions, I'm gonna like actually fill them, but these are things, I've written down things that I'm gonna be doing that I'm planning on doing this year anyways. So we'll see how it goes. Like how much, like basically later on at the end of the year, I'm gonna, we're gonna look back to my New Year resolutions and we're gonna see if I've actually fulfilled my New Year resolutions. So yes, let's talk about my first New Year resolutions, which I'm already doing and I'm already succeeding. Starting a podcast. Let's go. Yes, I already mentioned it in the beginning of the podcast, But yes, I've always wanted to start a podcast, and I am so happy to start this now. Finally took me like 8 years to start a podcast. I've had so many chances to start a podcast, but I never started a podcast. I don't know why. Maybe because I was busy. Also, maybe because I was much younger as well. It's hard to do a podcast when you don't really have much experience in your life, you know? That's weird. I'm still quite young as well. So I don't know if I will do well in terms of experience because, you know, I haven't even, I'm literally at uni. I haven't graduated yet. I don't think I'm going to have that many life stories, but we're going to see, we're going to try to we're going to try my best. I'm going to try my best. But yes. Oh my god, I keep doing those, but yes, it's annoying me. It's annoying. Sorry, I got a sniff. I might edit that out. But yeah, there's many times I've wanted to start a podcast, specifically with my good friend Zafania, because there was one time we went to Christmas shopping. We went shopping on Boxing Day, and we saw a Blue Yeti mic. Not the Blue Yeti one. We saw a snowball mic, whatever you call it, the blue snowball, whatever you call it. I don't know. And we were like, I remember distinctively, we were like, you know what? Let's start a podcast. And I'm like, oh, let's get this mic and we can start a podcast. I'm like, yeah, that sounds very fun. But then we never bought it. I don't remember why. I think maybe I sort of hesitated. I was like, oh, I don't, you know, it's basically me. And yeah, we never really got to start a podcast. I've always wanted to start a podcast, but it's just, and then like, I've always asked other people, hey, did you want to start a podcast with me? Right? And then we sort of plan it, and then it eventually just gets whoop because, you know, they're busy and I'm busy. Time scheduling issues. So like I said before, I really there's so many people I wanted to do the podcast with, but it just never worked out. So I decided just to do it myself. So yeah, and that's how I began. So I'm gonna stop delaying it, just start the podcast myself, and we'll see how it goes from there. We'll see how much it evolves. There's not really much to talk about because I already introduced why I want to do the podcast, what I'm gonna do on the podcast, right? So that's pretty much the quickest New Year resolution thing I'm going to talk about. Let's talk about more New Year resolutions. So let me take a bit of a sip of water. Yes, hydrate. I can just imagine stream just like someone redeeming. Hydrate. Hydrate, ToppeePop. You gotta hydrate, otherwise you're gonna get thirsty and you're gonna die from thirst. But yeah, let's talk about, I have a few New Year resolutions. I have 4 more to talk about. Let's talk about making a game. So I don't know if you guys don't know, I've been making a game with one of my good friends. I'm gonna dox them, shadow mime. I'm doxing them, shadow mime. Yeah, best. But yes, we're making a game together because, you know, it's one of our projects. You know, it's good for our resume because we're coding, right? Like we're both like computer science majors, right? So we're both like sort of trying to figure out what to put in our resume, and we decided, you know what, we need to have a personal project like making a game. We're also gonna probably make a website as well, but yes, we're going to make a game. So last year we actually made a game, but we never released it, or I never really showed it to anyone except like a few people. It was a board game. I forget what the actual name of the board game was called, because I think it's Corridor. I think that's what it's called. So it's Corridor. So basically, the idea is you have you have one piece on both sides, and then you have like 10 wall pieces, and you're basically trying to block you're trying to slow down the person from the other side from reaching your side. But you're not allowed to completely block them. That's basically the strategy right there. You're not allowed to completely block them, so you have to so there's actually quite a lot of strategy behind oh, maybe you should place a block, like a wall in front of you so they can't block you here, right? And there's a lot of strategy, and the funny thing is we thought this was an original idea because Shadow Mime's brother thought about the idea, and they were playing together, and they realized Shadow Mime was he just sort of hit me up. He's like, yo, ToppeePop, do you want to actually start make a game with me, right? And he pitched the idea to me. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. It sounded unique, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then later on through development, we kind of realized that Yeah, it's not original because there's a game called Corridor. Like basically what I mentioned, right? I don't know if it's called Corridor, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that, right? And yeah, it wasn't original, and sort of our motivation just went whoop. So we were like, you know what, let's just like maybe make it a bit more unique, like because we basically wanted to make sort of an anime game as well. So we were like, okay, let's do some like power-ups and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But eventually, you know, I think our motivation just really died down. So we're like, you know what, let's just end it. We're gonna start a new game. We can still put it on our resume because we actually did it, right? We have like a Java version, we have a Unity version, also Unity. Whoops, Unity did a whoopsies, but let's not talk about that today. But yes, we have that. So we're like, you know what? Let's actually start a new game. We're gonna be working on Godot. I don't know how to say it, but we're gonna be making our game on Godot and Godot. I think that's what people say, right? Godot. So we're gonna do that, and we'll see how it goes. We're gonna be making a JRPG game, or like just an RPG game in general. I don't think we're going to finish the game this year, but we're probably going to at least finish a chapter or two, right? So I'm excited. I'm going to be writing the story for that game. I really like story writing. Like I am currently writing a story for my D&D campaign. I'm currently writing a novel as well. Well, kind of. I haven't really started yet, but actually that's probably one of my other New Year resolutions. I actually want to start writing or at least beginning with the process of the novel, because I actually already have like the world that the novel is based on. I just need to like write everything down, right? But making a game, one of my New Year resolutions, hopefully we can finish a chapter or two. I think mainly the coding part. I think we'll find the coding part. We have to get, the problem with making games is you need art assets, right? You need like music assets. You need like all these assets that you tend to like. It's not really easy to get, but let's talk about that. But yeah, like, because coding is fine, that's not that hard. It's just the assets, right? The art, music, blah blah blah, right? And that's probably pretty much, because this is a JRPG, we're definitely gonna need some art. But that's what we're gonna talk about in my next New Year resolutions: illustrations, art. Because if you guys don't know, I've been doing a course on Colosso. I don't know if you guys know Colosso, but Colosso is like it's a really cool, sorry, I'm just putting my glasses down because my eyes are hurting. So Colosso is like sort of a, how do I say it? It's like it's a website where you can watch there's a bunch of lectures in the website, right? Like a bunch of courses that you can take. It's basically uni but online, right? But you can buy whatever course you want to learn, and yeah, it's a really interesting. I really like Colosso because, like, I never really, so 2 years ago, I only started drawing 2 years ago, right? Actually, I did know how to, like, I was pretty into art way before, like when I was a kid, but 2 years ago was when I actually started doing digital art and like really doing art with a serious intention of doing art, right? So yeah, I began drawing anime girls, anime guys. I'm not good at drawing anime guys. I think I mostly drawn anime girls, but I've been drawing them, and at first I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about body proportions. I didn't know anything about how to color. Honestly, didn't know how to anything. I just know, the only thing I knew was how to make something look good, right? Or not really. I just knew, like, there was a taste that I had, right? So when I looked at the art, I was like, how do I explain? Oh yeah, okay. So I only know how to, like, oh my god, I am blanking on the words. Okay, let me take a deep breath. But yes. Yeah, what was I saying? So the only thing I was really decent at was copying references, not like tracing or anything, just basically just like drawing based on a reference. I was always good at that since I was young. And also, you know, I know when things look bad and when things look good, but I don't know. I guess what looks bad and what looks good sort of like evolved, because I believe back then I didn't actually know exactly what looked good and what looked bad. I just knew like, oh, I didn't like this, right? So it was basically based on my own preferences. But I only started art like 2 years ago, and I kept doing art again and again and again, and I've definitely improved a lot. A lot of my friends tell me that, oh wow, I improved so much, right? In these last 1.5 years, I've improved so drastically. And I think it definitely, yeah, you can definitely see it like from my first ever art to later on. My line art improved, my shading improved, my just drawing the anime characters in general improved. My background art improved, not really, but yeah, you know, it definitely improved. And just in general, so many things improved. Like, I think it was crazy how drastically I improved. But eventually I got to this plateau, right? Because I was going so quick, and this has always happened to me. I always learn things very quickly, and until it like really plateaus, and I just don't know how to improve from there. So I plateaued very hard, I think, at some point, and I decided. So basically, the point I plateaued was the boxy art that I did in the I released last year the video. It's like a boxy speed paint art. So I kind of plateaued after that because that was like my best art piece I've ever done, and I didn't know what to do after. Like, I just didn't know. I tried to draw someone else and I just didn't like it. It was okay, but I didn't like it. So I was sort of like in this like sort of slump, and I just, you know, didn't want to really, like, I didn't really know what to do. But then I watched a video on YouTube. I think it was by Ori Days or something like that. I'm trying to think about who the YouTube channel was. But basically, they did like a video about like, oh, how I learned body proportions or something like that, or how I got better at art. And I watched it, and they introduced this colossal course by Chian. So it was something about like drawing and coloring anime characters, right? I think that's what the course was called. It's run by Chan, and I decided to buy it because I was like, you know what, I should get into it, right? I want to learn all the basics because I never learned the basics. I really never learned the basics when it came to drawing. I just started drawing. And I think that's actually a good way to start, honestly. Like, now that I think about it, I think always drawing whatever you like, or just drawing without really thinking too much, right, is probably the best way to get into drawing. And later on, when you want to improve, you can actually just relearn everything, right? Or like relearn the basics. So for me, I decided to do the chance course because I tried to do the chance course because, you know, I didn't know anything about body proportions, so I thought it'd be a really good idea to watch it. And I haven't finished it at this current time, but I finished all the body proportion part and like some color theory and all that kind of stuff. Wow, I learned so much in that colossal course. I really learned a lot. And I think I'm a big fan of Colossal now. like a huge fan of Colossal. Their videos are really good. Like, the chance course was so insightful. I might talk about this in a different podcast. Popcast, like a different episode. So I won't mention too much detail about what I learned from it. But I'm just gonna say I learned a lot of things. And now my art's improved a lot as well. I've been recently doing a few art pieces, and I've definitely seen the drastic improvement in my poses, the drastic improvements in my coloring, and in general, just overall drastic improvement, right? In my composition, in my illustrations, all that kind of stuff. So, and also character design. Character design is something I've always wanted to get good at, because I'm making a game, I need to get good at character designing because I'm going to be the one doing the art for the game, right? The games. So I have to get good at character design and drawing characters. So I think I'm pretty decent at drawing characters now. But designing characters is pretty much the struggle I'm dealing with right now. I'm struggling a lot with designing characters right now. So that's why I kind of want to take the Reno Tuna course that they have, which is like creating the essence of a character. I think that course will be a really good course to learn from because I've seen Reno Tuna, I think that's what their name is called. Like, I've seen their art, and they basically like have like little logos, like they have like little like references, and they make a complete character from that like little reference, like a little cake, right? So I want to learn how to do that. I've been trying to get better at it. I think I'm getting better at the character designing process, but I've only done like 2 or 3 characters right now. In fact, I made an announcement on my Discord server being like, hey, I'm gonna do character designing for free. I'm gonna make OCs for free. For female characters, because I don't know how to draw male characters. I'll learn male characters eventually, but for now I'm not really that interested. So basically, I asked on Discord, you know, if you guys want an OC that's a female character, hit me up. I'll design it because I need to practice. And I've gotten one so far, and it looks like a magical girl. It looks cool. So I'll see if I can improve the design more. I need to like look at a bunch of other designs that are going on Pinterest, and you know, you're looking at a bunch of VTuber models, because VTuber models, man, the designs look so good. I'm really bad at design, so I really need the help. But anyways, if you guys have any tips for design, please let me know. Like especially clothes design. I'm fine at drawing characters. I can draw characters very well now. Like I have no trouble with drawing the body, like the full body, except like with the details, like the fingers, hands. Like I'm bad at drawing hands and feet. But let's not talk about that. I'm trying to figure about clothes design in general is something I struggle at, especially when you're doing anime girls. It's quite hard to do clothes design because anime girls usually have a really very like, what's the word, eloquent. They're like, it just has a very it's very beautiful, there's a lot of assets on the clothes. I don't know how to explain it. That's definitely a better word. For male characters, I tend to never see the design being that great, but recently I've been seeing male character designs evolving, and now they're getting better and better. So like the clothes design, so that's interesting. So, but I think starting off with females definitely is a struggle because there's a lot, females then tend to wear a lot more clothing, right? But like different types of clothing, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, illustrations, I want to get better and better and better. I'm actually want to get so serious that I want to start commissioning, start commissions, right? So I'm gonna start commissions this year, probably around this year. And we'll see how it goes. So in general, I want to get better at illustration, concept designs, and finally I want to get better at, well, obviously concept designs, and finally I want to get better at art for VTubers, because art for VTubers is different. You need to cut up everything, right? Yeah, you need to cut up everything, and it's an interesting process because I made 2 VTuber models, right? And the first VTuber model, I didn't know how to cut anything, so I did a really bad job in cutting my art. But the second one, I did a much better job. I cut everything, or at least as much as I thought would be good. And it definitely made the rigging much easier. And by the way, that is my other New Year resolution, rigging, getting better at rigging. So I want to actually start rigging properly. So I only rigged 2 models throughout my lifetime. No, throughout my license. I mean, yeah, definitely throughout my lifetime, but throughout my 3-year license, I think it's 3 years. I think it expires soon, so I'm gonna have to renew it. But I want to get better at rigging. I also want to commission, I also want to start commissions with illustration and rigging. I want to actually start a VTuber production, right? So I want to get much better at rigging, and so the idea is, how do I improve, right? I need to draw, there's a lot of great ways to improve. Basically all my knowledge of rigging comes from YouTube videos, right? I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and I've gotten a good idea of how to make rig look good, you know, tips and tricks to make rigging even, you know, my rigging process much easier. A lot of my knowledge comes from YouTube, but the problem is it's all scattered, right? All these ideas are scattered, and also I don't have any models to work on, so that's why I need to draw something, I guess. So that's why I had to learn how to do body anatomy, all that kind of stuff as well. I just need to improve in general my art, right? So then I can maybe even rig something, right? So yeah, I've just been wanting to rig, but I never got the chance to rig because, you know, I'm a bit busy here and there. I don't really have a model to work on. And honestly, even though those YouTube videos are very helpful, there's a lot of YouTube videos that are very helpful for learning rigging. For me, it was it's all scattered, right? So you really need to be a good self-learner, which I, luckily enough, is really good at self-learning. I'm really, really good at self-learning. But there's a lot of people who struggle at self-learning, and that's why the YouTube videos don't really work as well. So, pretty much, and even for me, like, I think I still need a general, tutorial that goes through every single thing and very detail, like every single step in detail on how to, rig a good model. So because of like all these thoughts I've had, I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but all these thoughts I've had, I decided that because, I also learn a lot from these colossal illustrations, like I learned a lot from Chan from his colossal classes, right? I was like, you know what? Is there a VTuber class to take in colossal? And I searched it up, and there was one. It was run by Kutata. I think that's what the name was. I didn't buy it. It was actually a good deal, I think, at that time, because like Christmas, New Year. If I didn't buy it, because there's another course that seems more interesting, the Aurora Studios, which hasn't come out at this time, but it's gonna come out in like 3 days. But I already pre-ordered it. It's a 60 chapter VTuber production tutorial, and it seems really cool. Basically talks about how to illustrate a VTuber model, how to cut it up and all that kind of stuff, and extra details about it. And then there's a whole rigging part, and then there's a whole debut part, like a debut screen and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things. And because in general, I mean, I still want to focus more on rigging, but I'm also interested in the VTuber production. I want to actually commission VTuber production. Like, I want to start commissions for VTuber productions, right? So I think the whole process would be very helpful. And the rigging definitely looks very detailed, especially with the physics. Physics is always something that I've sort of just played around with, but I didn't really like fully understand it. So hopefully the video will be so helpful with the physics. And in general, it's I forget who runs the rigging side of that course, but apparently they won like the 2022 Live 2D showcase thing. I don't know what it's called, Creation Award or something like that. Was it 2022 or 2023? Definitely, I don't think it was 2023. I think it was 2022 or 2021. But yeah, I think it'd be really good to listen to, it's good to listen to a professional, right? I know like on YouTube, there are definitely a lot of people who are, professionals and all that kind of stuff. But like, it just, or like, they're good at rigging, but it's just like, I feel like YouTube tends to not be the best place to learn things. It's good to learn a lot of things, but it's very hard to learn the basics. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think the basics is really hard to grasp from YouTube, especially when it's not like formulated in the best way. It's like, yeah, it's not formulated in the best way. Also, I'm bleeding from my nose. I don't think that might be a bad sign, and might be a sign for me to stop the podcast right now, but I'm just gonna continue on. First episode, ToppeePop bleeds during his first episode of the podcast. Yay! But yes. So I think Colossal will definitely help with just the general structure of lecture, like of something, of like basic tutorials to help me, improve in general, like improve my skill sets, because I already have a skill set in rigging, but I want to improve it even more and even solidify the basics, right? And I think this Colossal, at least I hope that Colossal course is gonna help me a lot with rigging. And yeah, we'll see how many models I want to rig. I'm gonna rig this year, but I'm trying to aim for 3 models. I'm trying to aim for 3 models this year. I'm gonna rig 3 models, and they're gonna be good models. I'm not gonna do any half-ass modeling. So those 3 models, we're gonna try my best to make them really good. And yes, after watching the course, maybe I'll be a genius at rigging. No, probably not. But definitely will help me a lot. So I'll let you guys know in the future how the Aurora Studio course is going, and especially as well as the Chance course. But yes, there's a lot of courses that I bought, and I was like, and there are a lot of like design, graphic design kind of stuff. I've always been interested in graphics design, so we'll see how many things I learned from these courses. But mainly the main things I'm gonna be learning is the chance course and the Aurora Studio rigging part, right? And yeah, we're gonna learn a lot of things and see how it goes. I'll let you guys know how it is in the later episodes. Anyways, sorry, that was a bunch of scattered thoughts there. I don't know if that really formulated very well. Hopefully it did. But let's talk about my final New Year resolution, because we talked about we talked about 4 things. My final New Year resolution is going to be making some banger YouTube videos, like always. Last year, I did some pretty good videos, but I didn't do enough. I probably won't even do enough this year as well. But last year, I only released like 5 or 6 videos. I think 5 videos. And I did enjoy all those videos. They were all pretty good videos. I think my favorite video was definitely by far was how anime girls cured my depression. That was a really good video and I really like it. So I guess let's talk about in terms of future videos, what kind of videos I'm thinking of making, right? There's actually a lot of videos that I have recorded that I never edited, and I may never edit them as well, but there is definitely a lot of videos I've recorded. There's one video that literally says first time playing Fortnite, or like I played Fortnite for the first time, right? That was a YouTube video idea, and I do have the recording for it. I probably won't release it though. I probably won't edit it and release it. There was also the Soul Link videos. I had Pokemon Soul Linked, but like it's just, I don't know. I tried, but it's just, I don't know. It's just too hard. It was too hard to make a video on it. And then there was a Mario Party raid boss video that I had as well, which I think would be interesting to make because I think the content there was really good, but I'm just too lazy. I just lost passion. That's the problem. When you lose passion for a video, you just don't make it, and you never will. So it is unfortunate. And yeah, basically, I think there's a few more videos as well, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to release those videos. But there is a few other video ideas that I want to release, and we'll see how it goes. First of all, I want to do an art video, like something like me talking about my art progress. Unfortunately, that one's really hard because I didn't really think about making a video until like recently. Like I wanted to make one where it was like my 2-year progress of art, right? Here's how I improved, right? And me just talking about in general all the art pieces that I've done and what I've learned and how I've improved from there. I think that would be an interesting video to make, but just really hard to do because I don't really have any recordings of any art I've done. I just have the art pieces, right? So it'd be like that. It do be like that. There's another like video idea I have, and that's the rigging. So I learned, like, I'm gonna take the Aurora course, and I'm just gonna say, yeah, I'm literally gonna just talk about rigging, how I rigged the model in like two weeks or something like that. You know, I actually did rig my model in 2 weeks. My last model, which is the Heather model, the camp model. Yeah, it doesn't really take long to rig, honestly. It's just, a lot of people think it's very time consuming. I guess it is time consuming, but at least for me, it's only taken me 2 weeks at maximum for these rigs. But yeah, especially when I've done it again and again. Like the second time, like my first time took me a while, but the second time though, it was like really quick. You know, I just like boom, done. Like I think I had a lot more experience. So yeah, so I want to make a rigging YouTube video, and then honestly, there's more anime essay videos. There's a lot of animes that have come out, but none of them have sort of clicked right now. Like in terms of anime essays, not really. There was one that I was hoping would be interesting to talk about, but I don't think I'm gonna make an anime essay video on it. But I might talk about it on the podcast. So it was Uma Musume Pretty Derby Season 3. I talked about it a lot in Season 2. I talked about Season 2 a lot in my YouTube videos, you know, especially, I think I mentioned it like 3 or 4 times. I made a whole YouTube video on it. But the Season 3, there's not really much to talk about because it's kind of similar to Season 2. There's a lot of different, it's not like the same thing. There's a lot of different ideas, but not as relatable to me. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I even make an anime video on that. There's a few video animes that I could make an anime video, but I tend to like making anime videos that are like, I try to make videos that that are not analytical, but more just personal, right? So how it related to me. That's kind of the videos I want to make. I want to make when it comes to anime essay videos. So I guess really that's pretty much like all the ideas I have for YouTube. There's probably like game challenges I have as well, like some ideas there as well. I don't really know what other YouTube ideas I can make that I really like, right? I'm not a big fan of those like YouTube videos that are sort of popping up recently, like the Mr. Beast videos. I don't mind Mr. Beast videos, but the thing is I don't like those videos. I just don't like the, oh, I spent $10,000 on blah blah blah, blah da 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 da. First of all, I don't have enough money to do any of that. And second of all, I just don't like those kind of videos. So I like making those anime videos. I like making those essay videos. I like making, honestly, just essay videos in general. Maybe I might start a Let's Play on my YouTube channel as well. I haven't made a Let's Play in a while, and I kind of have a bit of an urge to do a Let's Play video. We'll see how it goes. I don't know what type of YouTube videos I'm going to be releasing, but I want to release some banger YouTube videos. I want a YouTube video to go viral. I'm just joking. I don't want it to go viral. I don't really care about that. But I do want a YouTube video to come out that, you know, I'm really proud of, right? And last year for me, it was how anime girls cured my depression. Also, there was also the music video I released in the very beginning. The Rinlen MV. That was cool. I love that. I loved editing that. That was so fun. I learned so much Adobe After Effects editing that. But the singing was a bit horrible. Actually, add that to my New Year resolutions. Improve in singing. I don't know how to improve in singing, but I have friends that are learning how to sing, so I'm going to learn from them. I want to learn how to be good at singing. Anyways, it's already been an hour, and you know, maybe for the first podcast, it'd be really interesting. You know, like I'm giving you a bit of a longer episode, but I'm sort of like exhausted now, so I think we're gonna end the podcast here. We're gonna end this episode. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. Oh wow, my voice went really loud. Oh sorry. I'm gonna definitely change the audio anyways, so it doesn't like I'm gonna edit the audio so it doesn't like pop and break your eardrums. But yes, thank you guys for coming to the ToppeePop Popcast. My god, there's too many pops there. Yeah, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the first episode of the Popcast. If you guys, you know, feel free to feel free to join my Discord server to give me some feedback or questions that you want to ask, or comment down in the YouTube comment down in the YouTube comments below, or yeah, that's pretty to give some criticism. I don't really know, feedback, whatever you want to do, right? And also, yeah, shout outs to Roxas and Sean Secret for the logo and the music. Shout out to them. Their links will be in the description. And finally, Happy New Year, guys. I hope to see you guys next week or in 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes. And let's hope we get a guest on maybe in the next video. Actually, I should talk more like this, I feel like. I think this might be a better way to do the audio because I think my voice, me talking at this sort of level is really good. It's very soothing, right? But yes, sorry, I'm off track. Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.